Well, the CPI data that came out last night saw some crazy volatility for crypto. It was a day trader's delight. And I tell you, the Discord went wild as we traded it like the absolute maniacs that we are. So if you're not in there, you probably want to get yourself in there. But because of last night's move, I want to zoom out in this video, have a higher time frame look at Bitcoin, because it may be showing us something that we should be aware of, that is going to help us to confirm if this bounce is going to continue higher, or is it a trap to set us up for the weekend? So once we've identified that, what I want to do on this video is show you if Bitcoin's giving me the hint that we should continue to the upside, then I want to switch my focus to a few altcoins for my investment portfolio. And that's what I'm going to take you through in this video. So if you are new here, welcome. If you are returning, welcome back. Be sure to smash that like button nice and early. And if you happen to catch the trade, also let me know in the comments, because not only were we trading it in the TTC Discord, I also actually gave many heads up about this trade opportunity on Twitter. On Sunday this week, I actually put it out here. I'm going to trade like a maniac this week. It's literally what I've been doing, guys. But the reason I wrote that is because I just felt like this week was going to be extremely volatile. I did go through it in a Sunday update about the triangle formation that we were forming for Bitcoin, and this is where kind of the games get played. But at the time, I didn't know if the volatility was going to be in Bitcoin or altcoins. And then in this post here, I said to have a look for the 72,350 liquidity. And once that happened, which it did, to watch out for the US to reverse the price as we were in the false move week beginning. Now, I'm not going to go through that on this video because I will do that on the Sunday update. And then here, 2 days ago, April 9, you can see I wrote here that probably going for the Friday settle. Now, at the time, Bitcoin was at 68,750 and the US settle was down here. And that's at about 67,500, I think it was. In this video was another update. Now, that was yesterday, just before CPI, saying that I was expecting either we dump into CPI or we dump as a result of it. And I'm still hoping for that settle price. And if we have a look at Bitcoin now on a smaller time frame, you can see this is the settle price right here, about 67,600 it was. This is where we came into, we held it, and then we've moved away. So absolute legendary short this week that we caught, back flipped into a long. And now I want to show you the 4-hour time frame, because there's something I need you to be aware of on this, and that is this vector candle right here. So as you can see, price has wicked into it twice currently, and if it cannot break above into that zone again, then this could end up being an M formation that leads to downside. Now, I don't think so, but I have to be aware of it because it's there right now. And we did talk about on Sunday this symmetrical triangle formation. And what I was suspecting was that that would have a false move to the upside, give us a false breakout to induce traders to go long, then come back in to liquidate them. That is what we would have seen last night. But the positive about this is that this candle right here held above the 4-hour 200 EMA and created a higher low. So there's two things just to be aware of. Like, I wouldn't be getting too excited right now until we can get through this vector candle right here. So we need to get above, let's just make it around 73K. We really should be cautious. And if you did take a very small time frame long position, you want to be taking partial profits and you want to be moving your stop loss to break even at the very least, or even in some profit if your trade can allow for it. Because yeah, these wicks here aren't looking great in the zone, but it's not all over. Like, it could be that they come back, retest the 50 EMA, build up some momentum as they're doing that, and then they break through eventually. So I'm not saying it's game over. I'm just giving you a caution based on what the price is showing me right now. And I'm saying don't get too excited yet. I'm also saying if you didn't happen to get a long position, or you're not long and you believe that we are going to break out, then that is going to be a good opportunity for you to take the long. So if price does, give us a little of a pullback from here, and it actually holds that 50 EMA, that would be a second chance entry, because essentially what it would be is a W formation at the end of the symmetrical triangle, which is bullish. So, if you have panic, fear, FOMO, whatever it is right now, because you're just not in anything, or you took something the wrong way or whatever, there could be another opportunity coming up, and that could take a day, it could take 3 days, who knows? But that's what I would be watching out for if I wasn't in a long position. And if I was, which I am, then I'm very, very cautious right now of what price is doing right now. And I'm not really happy about it until we either create a high low at the 50 EMA or we break through and above 73K. So with all of that in mind, I'm going to plan for some altcoins to buy, but I have to use this as my invalidation. If Bitcoin starts to break down, then I won't be buying altcoin. The reason that I want to set the plan once again is because of the ETH BTC chart. Look at this perfectly. We've been talking about this chart now for I don't know how long, a week or so on this channel, and it's almost like the price action is following my lines exactly. We expected this breakout. This was Sunday. We got it, run to the 200 EMA. Once we were there, I said to you guys, price will either come back, retrace back to the 50 EMA, or it will consolidate and the 50 EMA will catch up. What we got was the retracement. Look at this beautiful holding of the 50 EMA right here with a couple of candles. Looks good so far. We want to see some follow through now. We want to see it take the next leg up to the 800 EMA. If all of that can happen, look, it might consolidate for a while before it goes up there, but as long as we don't break too much below the 50 EMA, then this is following a pretty good trend reversal pattern, meaning reversal from the downtrend to potentially now an uptrend. Even if it did break below the 50 EMA, wouldn't be massively concerned. I just don't want it to break below this vector candle. So as long as we get a higher low around here, I'm all good, but it may bounce out from now. So I want to have a look at some altcoins. Now I'm literally just going through my alerts that have fired. I'm doing this fresh with you. So I actually have not pre-looked at anything that I'm about to show you. This is Casper, and Casper has a really beautiful W formation. Once again, because I'm looking at altcoins, I'm looking on the 4-hour time frame, and because I'm looking for something to, you know, a little bit longer term invest in, I want higher time frame charts. So all of these are going to be 4-hour time frame kind of deal. So you can see here that this was the W. I had an alert right here, you can see on this line, for a retest, a higher low. We wicked into that. However, I didn't actually buy there, which is normally where I would buy. It's the aggressive buy, but for whatever reason, I didn't happen to get it. So what I would be waiting for now on this is, you know, maybe I'll get a second chance. I will take it if I get it, but I really want to see now price breakthrough, because we've had 1, 2, 3. Now we're on the 4th touch to this trend line. It really should break through next. And so now that I have that higher low, I want to see it break. Once it breaks, it should come back, hopefully, to retest these EMAs, which is the 50 and the 200. And that would be my area to buy, considering I missed this higher low. So providing Bitcoin continues the uptrend and altcoins decide to follow it, that's looking pretty good to me. The next one is Game Arena, and I am interested in this. It's an early call, so we still need more confirmation than what we have right now. But the reason that I'm kind of interested in it is we've got this vector candle right here that price has not fully recovered, but we've hit into the zone multiple times and bounced out of it. So the next thing that needs to happen is it doesn't return to the zone, which is essentially a higher low. So what I would be hoping for on this one now is that from where price is right now, it comes back and maybe gives me the higher low that is above this area of interest, or even in it is fine. But I essentially just want a higher low that is higher than this cluster of price action right here, these wicks. And if I get that, that would be the aggressive entry. And if I wanted a conservative entry, then same thing. I'm waiting for the breakout first for a higher low to be formed, and then I could take another entry there. If I was to get all of that, I would probably hold on to this to a higher target than this resistance. But this area here, of course, would be my first target because it has to be. So this would be where I would reassess. If price got back into here, you know, as long as it looks bullish, I would hold on to it. But if it started to look weak, then I would take profit. But if it's bullish, then I would want to hold this up to about 22 to 23 cents. That's always been my final target for, not final, actually I shouldn't say final at all. That's been my intermediate target to see what happens next on GAL, but I've just been waiting for the next best entry and it may be coming soon. Now this one is super, super risky because it's been in a downtrend really for quite some time, and every time I think it's going to turn around, it doesn't. So this is MAVIA. So just be really careful with this one because yeah, every time it looks like it's turning it around, it just keeps going lower. But what I am liking about this potentially so far is that the low of the week was here last week on the Friday session. And this week we've returned to it, created a little bit of a final damage W, and we've managed to get back above it so far. So that's potentially positive. However, it needs to change the structure now because it's where it is now is still a lower high, but it does look like it wants to bounce out. So we need to get a higher low that maybe retests the low of the week. It may not come down that far. It depends on how bullish this wants to be from this point forward, but we need a higher low. If we get the higher low, then you would, again, that's the aggressive entry on it. And the conservative entry is not going to be until it changes the market structure. So it would have to pull back here, give us a higher low, come back to give a higher high, then another higher low. And that's the conservative entry to get involved. And on this one, it might be worth doing a conservative entry, to be honest with you, just because it keeps falling down all the time. But I do like the momentum and the speed in this, but just know that that's only step one. Now, GALA is the next one. GALA had a fake breakout. Actually, whilst we're talking about this, I really should clarify, because if you watch this channel, you'll know that I don't trade retail patterns. So you might be looking at its chart so far going, Annii, those are all retail patterns. What are you doing? Let me explain it. I draw the retail patterns when it comes to investing purposes because I want to know what retail would be thinking, because it helps me to identify where they may be getting trapped potentially. And then that helps me to know whether or not it's time to get involved. So it's not, when I say a breakout and retest, it's kind of something that just rolls out off my tongue. But I don't actually mean a break and a retest of the trend line. That's not how I trade at all. You will usually find that a break and a retest of the trend lines also break and retest EMAs. So that's really what I'm talking about. So with GALA, for example, actually this is a really good example to show you why I trade horizontal levels or EMAs and not diagonal lines. Let's have a look at GALA as the example. So this here was the fake breakout of the trend line, right? This is where retail traders would go in on trades because the trend is broken apparently. And then look, it's just come back into that pattern. You'll see this time and time again. However, as an EMA trader or a horizontal line trader, I would know after this breakout, it had to come back to retest the 50 EMA first, which failed, right? So I wouldn't have got involved. So as an EMA trader, I'm not at risk, but as a breakout trader of a trend line, I was at risk. Failing the 50 EMA, I then looked to the 200, which is this one. Now this is a good sign because we got a really nice looking hammer off the 200 EMA, and that hammer created a higher low in comparison to the price action prior, and the price action prior was a vector candle. So you can see we got this hammer spike into the candle and price didn't return back to that candle, meaning I now know there are trapped traders down here. So as long as price stays away from this zone, we should continue breaking up to the upside. So as an EMA trader now, my ideal entry on this should have been at the 200 EMA. Don't know what I was doing, but didn't see it. So now I need a second chance entry, which I may get it. I may get another touch of the 200 EMA, and I would have to assess how the candles are forming around there to get involved. But if I didn't, I want a breakout of that 50 EMA and then a retest as well. So now just let it go because I missed the perfect entry. Let it come back. But again, that's the perfect aggressive entry. So an aggressive entry can fail because it's not confirmed yet. This will be a confirmed entry, which is safer anyway. And if I got something like this where price did go for a bit of a run, came back, but it held the 50 EMA this time, then that would be a better area to get involved than this. All right, let's have a look at what Portal is doing now, because Portal's, you know what, this is almost turning into a gaming altcoin show. Besides the first coin that I covered, I think everything has been gaming pretty much. So yeah, anyway, thumbnail ideas. But Portal has been in a downtrend for quite some time. It looks like it's consolidating now. It hasn't changed structure. So again, it can consolidate and it can break down further. So we definitely don't want to get involved unless we can see buyers stepping in. Okay. So very, very early calls. One thing I really discourage you from doing is buying things just because they're mentioned on a show. You really have to wait for confirmation. And as a trader, you know, actually, let me tell you this story because I think a lot of people don't realize this. As a trader, you have two things. You have a setup and a trigger. Okay. When you're an influencer, and you get in front of people and you tell people some potential trades that you're looking at, that's the setup phase. And during the setup, all it is a trade idea. So it's an idea of, if this happens, I'll get involved. If it doesn't happen, I'm not taking the trade. When it's not worded that way, when you're watching videos, when people just say, if price goes to 20 cents, I'm buying, that's bad TA, and that's bad advice, and you shouldn't listen to influencers like that, because all that is a buy zone where you should reassess what the price is going to do if it gets into that zone. It's just a setup. A setup is an idea of, at this point, I think price might hold, but I have to wait till it gets there. Then I have to wait and make sure that buyers actually step in and do want to buy it there. And then if I see that, then I will buy as well. But if I don't see that, I'm not buying. So there's no other way for someone to jump on social media and to tell you trade ideas that are 100% going to happen, because if they do, it's happening, right? So you can't make the video because it's happening. And by the time the video comes out, it would have already happened. And then the people watching are like, well, too late now. So understand that when you're watching anyone on YouTube and they're talking about where to buy things, they're in the setup phase. And the setup always has to have a trigger to enter the trade and an invalidation to not take the trade. And I do my best to tell you that. So when I'm talking about, I need the market structure to change, or I need this high-low, that's where I'll get involved. What it means is, if that doesn't happen, I'm not getting involved. So it actually doesn't matter if this now drops another 20%, because if it did, I wouldn't have got my trigger to enter the trade. So if you're new to trading, just understand that, even for yourself, that when you're charting every day and you're practicing, if you're thinking, oh, I charted this and then it went the other way, that doesn't matter. You're never going to get it right 100% of the time. What you're doing when you're charting is you are practicing an idea of what you think may happen in the future, and then you have to make a plan based on that. If the price does come here, this is what I want to see will happen. And if it does happen, then this is where I will take the trade. And if it doesn't happen, then I just won't take the trade. And that's it. You don't flip-flop, you don't long, short, left, right, and center. You just set your plan. And if the price follows your plan, great, you're involved. If it doesn't, then you don't get involved. So I needed to tell you that before I talk about this particular coin, because all I can do at this point, because I don't have the market structure to tell me that this is potentially going to turn around soon, all I can do is set a plan. So when we have a look at Portal, this is why I'm telling you I can't say that this is the bottom. All we're doing is consolidating, and price can consolidate and then just break further down. So what I'm saying with Portal is, unless it starts to move out into more towards the upside now, towards the 50 EMA, there's no buy on this just yet. It may continue to bleed further, but what I would want to see in order to go, okay, this area of interest is pretty decent. And again, just remember, look at this. It's lower lows and lower highs. So there's nothing to say this area of interest is going to hold. Nothing right now. But we want to be aware of it, because if it does turn around from here and we can catch it, we're going to get a really good position on it. Okay. So what we're watching for now is, look at this. When you look at this downtrend here, all of these wicks have rejected at the 50 EMA. So immediately your plan should be, I don't want to touch this unless it can get back above the 50 EMA. That's step one. That's step one of the plan. Step two of the plan is, if it does get back above the 50 EMA, because look here, there's a wick right here where it did get above the 50 EMA for a period of time. Okay. And then it came back underneath. So the step two of the plan is, if it does get above the 50 EMA, then I want to see it break with strength, because the strength is going to show me the buyers are here and they're not letting it go any further. So step one, I want to see a strong break of the 50 EMA. This right here, this week, this is a weak break of the 50 EMA. Okay, just to be very clear on the difference. Once I get that strong break, I then want to see a retest, because a retest proves the move. So break it, retest it, show me that you're not going to go back below that 50 EMA now. Like here, you went back below it, right? So you failed me. Don't fail found proof to me that you're done now. You're done with a move to the downside and you're ready to change the trend. That gets proven on a retest of the 50 EMA. So once that happens, then you can get involved. So this here is the setup. It's just a trade idea. Now, if price does this and comes back and does retest the 50 EMA, when the 50 EMA does something like this, that will be the trigger. And the trigger is when it tests that 50 EMA and gives me bullish looking candle closes. Hammer, bullish engulfing, railroad track, star formation. They're the main four that I look for. Anyway, I hope that was a clear explanation. We also need to keep an eye on the rest of the stock market because as we can see with the volatility from CPI last night, the Dixie had a pretty massive pump here. Look, right now, Bitcoin is not negatively correlated with the Dixie. Bitcoin doesn't really seem to care, but you still need to be aware of it because if we have any dramatic moves in the stock market, it's probably going to have some effect on Bitcoin. But if we get any more volatility in Dixie, like we can see how, S&P has reacted, we can see how NASDAQ reacted as well. But all of these look temporary. They're all just one candle. But the only reason I want to caution you on it is because of that 4-hour Bitcoin vector candle. So please keep this in mind today before you make any moves. Don't let it stop you from taking action, but just be aware that this is the zone we have to get through next. Now, if you are wanting to jump in the Discord and trade with us, there is a link down below. You can come join us. You can learn this whole method in full. And even better right now, if you have access to OKX, we have built a team for OKX currently for the Ultimate Bitcoin Rush competition. So I will leave a link down below. You can join the competition. You can either just join our team with the link down below, sign up to OKX, join the comp, and then you can be in the running to win some pretty cool prizes. But the advantage of being in the Discord as well is that we're all trading together. So you can take the same trades that we do. And most of us actually last night in our frenzy, we actually traded Bitcoin on the 5-minute time frame. And because we were aware of the US settle, this was where we took a position. It was a very ugly looking W formation, but we counted it because it held the US settle price from Friday. So we're basically long right now and just waiting to see if this will feed up into higher timeframes. So if you want to be part of that, consider joining us, but also jump on this OKX competition because being part of competitions is a really great way to learn and you can get yourself some amazing prizes.